Okay, now we're into the fourth section, which is basically just going to kind of tag on really to the end of the third section in terms of context. We're going to be looking at some more pentatonic ideas, but I want to kind of try and introduce to you a slightly different way of picking, which can kind of give you an incredible amount of speed. This is kind of a technique that I've seen a lot of people like Paul Gilbert and Shaun Lane, Buckethead as well. And basically it's kind of almost like a snapping technique, which, if you can get it quick, it's a really kind of devastating style of picking, which can, give you incredible speed. So I'm just going to take like a simple kind of 4-note pattern. Again, we're going to be looking at E minor first position pentatonic. Don't want to get bogged down with theory too much. So let me just play through it for you and then we'll break it down. Okay, it's a pretty fast lick, but we're only picking 2 of the notes out of the 4. And what we're doing is just kind of keeping the pick angled again. None of this has been, flat picking. It's all pick angled at 45-degree angle forwards. And we're just kind of pushing through the string, if you like. We're not really using any kind of wrist action or even forearm action or anything like that. We're just literally pushing through the string and then with the upstroke, so we're kind of having this. And I suppose the best way to describe it was from like a Shaun Lane video that I used to own many moons ago, where he literally called it kind of snap picking. And it was sort of really just to kind of really accent the first 2 notes and make it sound like incredibly fast. And he used this technique quite a lot in his playing, and to a devastating effect. So, I mean, all we're doing is just picking the first 2 notes with a downstroke and then an upstroke, and literally kind of using your thumb and first finger and just kind of extending the pick through the string. But what you're doing, as you bend your thumb, you're pushing the pick down, and it's kind of that sort of motion rather than going. You're not using your whole arm to do it, which would kind of take the speed out of it. You're literally just doing it with your thumb and then with your forefinger as well. So I mean, you don't really have to even practice the lick with your left hand first of all for this. You can really just practice it on its own. Just holding the strings like I've just done there. That kind of thing. And then when you incorporate the lick, even at a slow tempo, you can hear what's going on. So let me just play it slow for you. So as you see the pick go down, you can see the knuckle of my thumb going in and then pulling it up again. So it's pretty much, I suppose, the Bruce Lee way of picking, where you're using literally no body force whatsoever. You're just using a minimal amount of force, but it kind of creates a really good effect. And then when you put it with the lick as well, I'm just playing the top end of a first position E minor, which is 15, 12 on the high E, then we've got 15 pull off to 12 on the B string, and we're just literally repeating those 4 notes over and over again. And it's really to just kind of get used to this way of picking. So at slow tempo again, here it is. And as you get more comfortable again, you can speed this up. Again, you can do this to a metronome or a drum beat or whatever you want. And ultimately, this is really kind of like a speed lick. So the goal is really to get it as fast as you possibly can get it. So, once you've kind of, mastered that right-hand technique of doing it, you could then, use other notes. So we could add a 17th fret on the high E string and a 14th fret on the high E string, and just kind of move the first note around. So we're going to have this kind of thing. And you know, with that, you can kind of change the first note, but you're still keeping that same technique. So you're moving around like this. You could also maybe add some double picking in there on the first note. And if you really want to kind of go the whole hog all the way through, like a first position pentatonic scale, for example, you could literally just do that double picking on in each group of 4 notes. So you'll literally have, each group is 6 notes. And you'll pick the first 2 using the technique that we've just looked at, and then you'll pull off down the scale. So you'll pick the first 2, 15, 12 on the high E, then hammer on 15, pull off to 12 on the B, then 14, pull off to 12 on the G, and then you'll literally start that same pattern, but you'll start from the B string and you'll literally just progress down the first position shape. So at a slow tempo, it's going to look like this. Okay, so you know, as you can see, you're still just snapping those first 2 notes, and the rest is all hammer-ons. And at a quicker tempo, it should sound more like this. Okay, then as you get used to that sort of technique, you can then, you know, extend it again in your pentatonic sort of arsenal. You can kind of steal notes from the second position. So you're kind of doing this sort of thing. You know, that kind of thing. So you're just literally picking off notes from the second position. And when you get it up to speed, it can sound pretty cool. So let's have a go. Okay, and at a slow tempo, that should look like this. Okay, well the last thing I want to look at with using snap picking is kind of an alternative way of doing it, which is more 3-note per string based. It's probably, you know, more along the lines of, you know, what Shaun Lane would do, something like that. And literally what you're going to do is we're just going to go back to a shape that we've used quite a lot already in this DVD. And we're going to have 15, 17, 19 on the B string, and we're going to start with a downstroke. Then we're going to pick the last 3 notes, so 15, 17 and 19 on the high E, but we're going to start with an upstroke, so we're going to have... But again, with that up, down, up to finish, we're trying to get more of a snap motion on that string rather than kind of picking the notes. So when you really get it up to speed, you can really kind of hear the pick snapping. So let me just play it up to speed so you can hear what I'm talking about. Okay, so that enables you to kind of get 6 really quickly played notes, but you're not really worrying about the first 3. Obviously you've got to pick the first note to start the lick, but it's those last 3 notes that if you can really kind of hone in the snap picking, you know, you can get like an incredible sound, and then you can pretty much sort of like move it around. So you know, you might do sort of more of a pentatonic style thing where you're going to do this sort of thing. And then as you speed it up, you're going to hear more of that snap. Okay, I think you'll agree that you can get an incredible amount of speed out of using this snap picking technique. And if you've got any 3-note per string ideas that are in groups of 4 or 6 notes, then you know, maybe you want to try and give this technique a go with that. And I think you'll be surprised about you know, how quickly you can get more speed out of those licks, and you know, even using it in your pentatonics as well. So you know, just start slow and then speed it up, and just, you know, give it a whirl with all the techniques that you know.